Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to talk about Last Epoch, which is arguably the best ARPG out there in 2023. Now, if you guys didn't know this, 5 or 6 years ago, this game was actually a Kickstarter, so it's come from a really long way. Just absolutely amazing progress. Let's get into it. Let's figure out why is this the best ARPG of 2023. Firstly, this is probably the biggest point on the list. It respects players, and it also respects their time. Now, what do I mean when I say this? It respects players. How can a game respect players? Well, let's go over 3 different points. I think these 3 points make up this this main bigger point. Firstly, it does not punish build experimentation. Let's say you want to try something. Let's say you're a new player, right? Let's say you make a build that is utter shite. Okay? You're allowed to do that. That's the whole fun in this, right? You're exploring different skills, you're exploring different passives, skill trees, yada yada yada. But then at the end of the day, you realize, okay, 30 hours later, I'm a little more knowledgeable about my character. I know the path I want to go down. What can I do to optimize it? Games like Path of Exile, they really punish players for experimentation. Last Epoch does not. Okay, let's say you want to re-specialize your skills, you can. Just costs a little gold. Let's say you want to re-level up and focus on 4 or 5 different other skills than you're currently using. There is no punishment for build experimentation here in Last Epoch, and I think this is a huge plus. I love trying out different things, and when a game tells me, no, you can't do it because you're going to pay a consequence for this later on, I'm pissed. I'm annoyed at that. Secondly, how does it respect players? Well, there's no XP loss on death. This relates to point number 1, right? Let's say you make a shitty build and you die, okay? And you die a lot. Every time you die and there's XP loss on death, it sets you back that much further. And I don't want to be doing that. Like, at the end of the day, you know, like on Path of Exile, getting from level 98 to 99 to 100 is the worst. Because if you didn't have a perfectly optimized build before this, and you start dying at level 98, 99 to get towards 100, what ends up happening is the amount of experience you lost is probably equal to 3-4 hours of your time. Who wants to be losing 3-4 hours of their time? That is not respectful to the player. So this again, you know, ties into point number 3. You can reach level 100 in 40 to 50 hours in Last Epoch. And I think that's a very reasonable amount of time to reach max level character, okay? And this point, I'm talking specifically, you know, in regards to what Diablo 4 has said, that it'll take 150 hours to get to a max level character. Well, variety is the spice of life, and I want to try different characters. So for my 3 max level Last Epoch characters, I can have 1 max level Diablo 4 character. That again is not respectful to your time. And some people were gonna say, oh, but Diablo 2 also took that much amount of time. Yes, and Diablo 2 was a massive, utter grind fest. I played this thing 20 years ago. I played Diablo 2 a few years ago when it came out on re-release, and it's still the same thing. It does not respect players' time. Alright? But, you know, that's the main point. We've talked about the 3 different things that kind of puts together this respecting players' time. I think this is arguably one of the best things that Last Epoch does well. It does respect your time. You can reach max level while also still having a shitty build, and then also re-specializing to a better build, min-maxing your build with no punishment, and you don't actually get punished when you die either. So it's just like the best of all worlds. So now we can move on to point number 2 for the major points. Graphics and gameplay. Those 2 points I talked about, you know, also in the Wilson video. I think these 2 points are very important because the graphics and gameplay lead to how enjoyable a game is, right? It needs to look pretty. Like, it needs to look like there's a spectacle on your screen, and Last Epoch definitely achieves that. It is an awesome game to watch, right? You're getting explosions everywhere, you're getting lots of different environments, you're getting monsters of different types, you're getting spells of different colors, explosions, types, so all those combinations lead to a really awesome experience. The gameplay is very satisfying, right? Every time you, I don't know, kill enemies, the sounds really good. You get unique drops, really awesome. Everything's just really great. Next, we're going to talk about build diversity. All right, so build diversity is another huge one. You get a huge amount of customization ability in Last Epoch. You start off with your base class. So I started off, for example, on this character as a mage, and you get to put whatever skill points you want in that base class. After a certain point of time, you unlock the sub masteries, or I guess masteries, and you can start putting your points in those, but you have to end up choosing one mastery to specialize in. So I specialized in the Spellblade, but that doesn't mean that I can't put points in, for example, the Sorcerer skill tree, but you only have access to half of it. So it's denoted by a chain in the middle of that passive tree. You can't put points in the second half, which is totally fine. But that's really great because that means you can mix and match different talent points from different masteries to overall fit whatever build you want to do. And honestly, almost every spell you look at here can be built around. Yeah, it might not be the world's highest DPSing build, but you can build a build out of almost every single skill. And I think that's a positive for an ARPG, okay? You need that. Some games, like, you get skills that are like, well, this skill is completely useless. I can't even build around it. But in this game, you can build your build around almost any skill. Now, the other thing that helps contribute to this is the fact that you can sub-specialize 5 different skills. So at the top of the page, you'll see, you know, I have 5 skills at level 20 and one's at level 22. Those are my specialized skills. Everything else I can still use, but these 5 skills are the ones that have sub-skill trees for those abilities, which is another layer of customization. I love this. This is awesome. I think Last Epoch probably has the same amount of customizability as Grim Dawn, and I think Grim Dawn had a fantastic amount of customizability between the masteries here, the skill sub-trees that we're looking at right now. You can have so many different combinations of how you want to build your build. And also the fact that you can change your element for so many different spells adds even further to this customizability. Overall, nothing but positive notes to say about build diversity in Last Epoch. Now let's start talking about the next point, which is gear customization. So this is a huge one. This is endgame stuff. This is min-maxing your build. This is reaching the build's full potential. How are we going to do this? Well, Last Epoch has a great system. It involves runes, it involves glyphs, and it involves shards. Okay, so these runes can be used to either break down items that you've found on the ground and extract affix shards from them, or you can use those runes to extract affixes from already existing items. They're one category of this customizability. Okay, the next category is glyphs. So glyphs help you further customize your character by optimizing the forging potential. Let's say you want to add a skill onto your weapon, or you want to replace a skill that's already on a weapon. These glyphs, on average, help you do that more efficiently. It helps you swap out affixes. It helps you get free upgrades sometimes, and it all revolves around using shards, right? So you take these shards, some of them are listed as prefixes, some of them are listed as suffixes, and you put them in your weapons and you create those stats on those weapons. You can have 2 prefixes, 2 suffixes, all right? So you can have 4 different things usually on a weapon. Sometimes you can have more, but let's go over an example of this, okay? So this is just a weapon I found, and it has 2 suffixes, or 2 prefixes, already in there. It has void damage, it has melee physical damage, but it only has 1 suffix, which is chance to shred armor on hit. So I'm gonna use this Glyph of Hope every time I do an upgrade, which allows the outcome of a crafting to be free. So it doesn't use any of that 22 forging potential at the top. So let's just add, I don't know, health on hit. Let's add health on hit to this item. So I clicked it once, I got an upgrade, but I lost 16 forging potential. That's a lot. I went down from 22 to 6. Now I'm gonna hit it again, And this time, my Glyph of Hope worked and it didn't use any forging potential. So thank goodness I got a free upgrade there. Did it again. Even better. That's fantastic. Did it one more time, and this time it only used 2 forging potential. It's completely random how much it uses, and I ended up being able to get to max level 5 of the health on hit with just 2 Glyph of Hopes and a little bit of luck. Now let's talk a little bit about the endgame cycles. How does that work? Basically, you are running monoliths. That's what these endgame activities are in last epochs. You unlock different monolith areas, I guess. They're all different levels, like some are level 58, 66, 70, 75, 80, 90, and you start doing them. They increase in difficulty. They also give you more loot depending on what you're doing there. And basically, when you go inside one of these trees for one of the monoliths, you get to choose where you want to go, which echo you want to run. You know, each echo will give you a different thing. Some will give you tomes of experience, some will give you affix shards, some will give you unique items, some will give you swords, whatever. But all of this pushes forward your timeline for that specific monolith. And basically, when you have enough, then you can conquer the echoes at the end. And there's 3 echoes for each of these timelines. You do the 3 echoes, and on the 3rd one, you're always going to have to fight a boss. And once you've fought that boss, then boom, you finished that timeline. You can unlock the next one if you haven't already, or you can keep going. Basically, once you do the 3 final level 90 timelines, you unlock corruption. And that way, you can keep doing these timelines, increasing your corruption, which makes things more and more difficult, testing out your build further and giving you more and more loot, as it should be. So it's actually a really fun endgame loop. I'm a huge fan of it. The other thing I'm a huge fan of is well-designed boss fights. Every boss fight so far has been either okay to awesome. I haven't had any boss fights that I was like, oh man, you know, these are really awful boss fights. Most of the moves are quite telegraphed. You know what's about to come. You know what you need to do to avoid it. And you also know what kind of resistances you need to increase in order to be successful in that fight. Like, you know, this fight, for example, does, I don't know, cold damage. Or if this fight does void damage, you want to increase your void resistance. Finally, the last and 7th point. Not much to touch on this, but this game is still technically in beta. We are at 0.9. That was just released in March, I believe. So we haven't even hit 1.0. But these devs are so devoted. They constantly make updates. They're constantly interacting with the community, taking in feedback. Nothing but positive things to say about them. So overall, these are the reasons why I think Last Epoch is the best ARPG in 2023. It is the one that is worth your time. Okay, it respects the player's time. It does not punish you for build experimentation. There's no XP loss on death. You can reach level 100 in 40 to 50 hours. Graphics are amazing. Gameplay is amazing. Build diversity is huge. The gear customization in the end is also amazing. The endgame cycle is really great, although I wish there was a little bit more diversity to it, but I think the devs are going to probably add more stuff in the future. But so far, the endgame cycle is another positive, and the boss fights are really well designed. I really like them. I think they're really fair. And again, this game is only in beta, so it's only getting better. These devs definitely deserve your support. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.